Welcome back to the Golden State with Mates post-game live after the Warriors suffer a 112-86 disastrous blowout loss to the Miami Heat on Tuesday. Tough to take. I don't even know if you can list a positive from that game. Like from start to finish, it was deplorable. It was woeful. I think made worse by the fact that there was actually some build-up to this game. Like Jimmy Butler's return to Miami, there was legitimate build up, and you thought this was going to be a tight, hard fought contest, might go down to the wire. Even without Steph, obviously, he was questionable heading into this game and then ruled out a couple of hours beforehand. Thought this was still a very winnable game for the Warriors. Thought Jimmy would be amped up. Thought his teammates would be amped up to try and make this a successful return to Miami for him. And yeah, there's absolutely none of that. It just petered out into absolutely nothing. And yeah, I'm trying to think of a positive. Maybe Guy Santos from an individual standpoint. He was maybe the only one 5-8 from the field, 3 of 6 from 3-point range. I think 13 points in less than 20 minutes off the bench. That was it. Everything else was a legitimate disaster. Going down the line, the Warriors were just horrific offensively. You think of as bad as the Warriors can be offensively without Steph Curry, well, that was it. They couldn't be much worse than that. 39.8% from the field, 23.7% from three-point range. 12 turnovers is okay, but still, and just didn't get any good looks, really. I feel they got some threes they should knock down or they would knock down on another day, but I mean, yeah, it was just a disastrous performance. Moses Moody, 0 of 9 from 3 of 13 from the floor. Thought Pods was a bit better in the second half, but still only 6 of 16 from the floor. Jimmy, just so quiet, 5 of 12, 11.6 rebounds, had 2 points at halftime. Thought he was going to come out really aggressive. Didn't really see that. Draymond was more concerned in terms of arguing with referees and officials than he was actually playing the game. 2 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. No steals, no blocks. Kind of hurt his defensive player of the year case, which has now become favorite for here over the past couple of days. So, I mean, the bench was reasonable early. Gee was good early. Quentin Post, a weird game. Did some good stuff, did some bad stuff. Only 1 of 4 from 3. Kuminga actually led the Warriors in scoring with 15 points, but I'm still not sure that's the type of performance that's going to raise optimism in terms of his fit with the team after that long absence and the concerns surrounding him at the moment. So credit to the Heat. They played really well. They shot 68% from 3, as someone's already commented here, 17 of 25 from beyond the arc. But yeah, they just killed the Warriors, crushed the Warriors in basically every facet. Offense, defense were just way more ready for the game. Just feels really disappointing, particularly after you had a couple of days off and a couple of days to prepare for a game like this. I don't know. I'll let you guys talk about it because I'm not part of me is kind of wondering and trying to balance out, okay, how much of this is Steph being out? And I think that's a large portion. And at the end of the day, I can't really criticize the team too much when you're without your best player, right? And the player that just absolutely creates essentially everything for you offensively. Steph Curry, even when he's not touching the ball, still creates so many things for you offensively. So it's difficult for me to analyze too much based on that. There's also a part of me that thinks, okay, well, you've had a really, really good stretch here. It's difficult to sustain a 25, 30 game run of just excellence, winning every game. And so maybe this was, the Warriors were kind of due for a couple of letdown games. This was the first time they've suffered back-to-back losses since Butler's arrival. So again, part of me thinks maybe this was just kind of what was always going to happen. There was going to be a couple of poor games thrown in here, but at the same time, you can't afford it. You're still battling for a top 6 playoff, top six spot in the Western Conference standings to avoid the play-in tournament. So yeah, just really, really disappointing. There's obviously going to be a heap of more chatter about the Kuminga fit and the fact that this kind of lull in form from the team has coincided with his return, aside from that opening game against the Kings last week, the week before. So, yeah, I mean, 7 games now. Warriors are 4-3 with Kuminga. Even in the games they've won, they weren't overly convincing against the Raptors in their last victory. Now they've had back-to-back losses in pretty disastrous fashion. So, anyway, I'll get into your guys' comments. Just a really poor game, obviously, all around. Logan says we have 0 offense without Steph. Jimmy still hasn't got it going offensively. Agree with that. He was just I don't think he was that aggressive in this game. Don't know. was a weird one. Thandex says pathetic performance from our starters. The Warriors had 40 points at halftime. We're down 57-40, and they had 10 combined points from the starters. Every starter had 2 points in the first half, and then they had 30 off their bench. Kuminga kind of got going. Gee got going a bit. So, weird game in general. Heat shot 68% from three. Logan says felt like they, as in the Warriors, shot 0% from three. Man, I mean, take Gee out of it. Like, Gee went 3 of 6. Take him out of it at 6 of 32. Moses 0 of 9. And he was like, fourth quarter, it felt like Moses was like, okay, I'm just going to chuck shots here. Wait, hope that one goes in and try and build my confidence up. That kind of felt like the last 5-6 minutes were about Moses Moody getting a 3 to go in to build some confidence. And he just didn't. He just kept firing away and kept missing them. And he was 0 of 9. He had 3 good looks early in the game. None of them went down. And like, again, as what happened the other day against the Hawks, like, if you go down early by 15 to 20 points and you don't have Steph Curry, I've just got absolutely no confidence in you being able to get back into the game. And to be fair, the Warriors had a brief run late third quarter. Kuminga had a layup, I think, with a minute to go, which was the close of a 10-0 Golden State Warrior run, which reduced the margin from 18 to 8. And you thought, okay, well, if it's 8 points entering the fourth, like, they're a legit chance. Miami have had some absolute disastrous fourth quarters recently since the trade. So you think, okay, maybe there's still a chance. And then, like, the Heat just make a couple of shots, go on a 5-0 run to end the fourth. It's back out to 13. It's like, well, 13 down, you're not really going to make a comeback again without Steph here. And then the Warriors didn't score for like the first 4 minutes of the fourth and only scored 16 points in that period entirely. So, yeah, I mean, there was that brief run late third quarter, 10-0, where you thought, okay, maybe they can get back into it. But aside from that, normal programming resumed immediately following, basically. Logan says, what did the Warriors shoot? 15% or something crazy like that? Yeah, 23.7% from three-point range. And even that felt probably higher than what it was. Knox says, I wanted Steph to get as much rest as he could, but this offense is trash without him. Yeah, it's a hard balance to find when you've obviously, you want to give Steph some rest. And you thought with Jimmy, being able to take over as he did against the Bucks last Tuesday, and then as he did kind of after Steph went out against the Raptors, maybe the Warriors could win a couple of games here while also resting Steph, and that just doesn't seem to be the case now. But it sounds like he should be back for Friday's game. It sounds like he was somewhat close-ish to this game. He was obviously questionable for it. So all in all, a pretty positive result in regards to Steph's injury based on what it could have been your first hand, where you think, okay, maybe he's gone for a couple of weeks here. Streetcar says, in games like this where literally nobody has it going and there is no Steph, give the ball to JK and let him ISO. Pods, middies, and Jimmy dribbling out the clock can't be better. Good point. Maybe just try and get JK's confidence up. Look, he was okay, but it's like, it's all relative to the team performance, and the team performance, you just got blown out by 26 against a team that's under 500. So it's even if any individual played well, it's hard to really take too much from it. Thendek says, I'm so tired of the small ball BS from Curry. He had an opportunity to change the starting lineup in the third and he didn't. Yeah, he started GP2 in this game over post, so it was very small ball. Pods, Peyton, Butler, Moody, Draymond, I suppose. And it didn't really work. And, the Heat are kind of going double big with Bam and Kel'el Ware. So, yeah, just got beat up basically on both ends of the floor. Then Nick says, I kept on waiting for Jimmy to take over and he didn't. Logan says, Jimmy still hasn't got it going offensively yet. That mid-range still not there. True that. Feels like everything needs to be at the basket for him. Logan says, someone from the chat would have shot better than the Warriors did today. I had 19 points in our social league game last night, and I reckon I didn't take one jump shot in the game last night. We had a late game. It was like 8 p.m. And we won 57-43. Top score with 19 points. Didn't take a jump shot for the whole game. It was all inside. And yeah, it was a good game. So maybe the Warriors could have had me out there today. Logan says, yeah, Jimmy mid-range might never come around. I saw a stat earlier today that I think maybe provides some optimism. Jimmy Butler not once had a 40-point regular season game for the Heat. Not once, but yet he had 8 in the playoffs. That just goes to show you how much he lifts his form in the playoffs. So maybe he's waiting for that. But at the same time, the Warriors need to win some games before that and make sure they actually make the playoffs to begin with. Adrian says this was an embarrassing performance. Why did Kerr go small ball? Yeah, it feels like a weird game to go small ball when you've got the Heat starting two bigs with Adebayo and Ware. I don't know, maybe the Warriors were trying to outrun them, but those guys are like pretty athletic. It's not like they're slow big men by any means. So yeah, I didn't really get it. It was just a horrible, and like I can't really single Steve out because at the same time, like everyone played terribly. So really, it's just like there was no positives from this game. Like Steve was pretty awful as a coach, but all the players were awful as well. Maybe aside from Gee, like I don't know, no positives really. Hacker says Warriors lost the plot. I'll wait for Steph to come back before I make too many. Before I jump to any conclusions. Adrian says the Warriors weren't ready to play. None, which are like really interesting, like really weird because you would have thought for this game, Jimmy's return to Miami. Could understand it, Friday or whatever. Sorry, when was it? What's the day today? Tuesday. Saturday they played, didn't they, against the Hawks? Or was it Friday? Whenever it was. The last game against Atlanta. I could understand that. First game of a 6-game road trip. I can understand that, but you would have thought they'd be up and about. Nationally televised game, Jimmy Butler's return, and yeah, really lacked intensity more than anything. Thenix says, I said 4-0, now we are 0-2. Yeah, I mean, you got to win these next couple of games against the Pelicans and the Spurs. Logan says, this 6-8 seeding with the Clippers and T-Wolves is stressing me. And the positive is that the T-Wolves lost yesterday to the Pacers again, so that's a good result. And the Clippers still have like a tough schedule remaining, so I don't know. Every team around the West now seems to wanting to be losing a game here and there. But the disappointing thing is like Memphis feel vulnerable to me. Now they're about to win this game against Utah, but Memphis feel vulnerable to me. You could have actually tried to climb up to 5th or something like that. Maybe you'd play the Lakers and you don't want that. So we'll wait and see how things shake out. But yeah, feels like the Warriors are missing an opportunity here to not only potentially move up in the standings, but also like just create separation between themselves and the Timberwolves and the Clippers. Berserk Monk says, is it crazy that Wiggs already got a 40-piece in Miami, but Jimmy hasn't got close to that? Yeah, Jimmy's high with the Warriors, still only 26, I think. And he's got 25 on a couple of occasions, including that debut against the Bulls, going back to just after the trade. Yeah, Wiggs came into this game with after 42 piece, although it was against the Hornets, but still, like you got to put the ball in the basket. And then he had 30 on like 10 of 13 shooting. So he's been super efficient. Offensively, didn't have to do much in this game. Had 10 points. Defensively, thought he was really good. Had a couple of steals, couple of blocks. Thought he was a big part of suffocating the Warrior offense like the Heat did. So the Warriors, I think. You can't go against the results. The Warriors have been excellent since the trade, and the Heat have still been pretty crap. So at the end of the day, like Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Warrior fans and everyone's still going to be happy with the trade, no doubt about that. But there is an element to which you still do miss Andrew Wiggins, and I think ideally, you'd probably still have Wiggins on this roster as like a third option to Steph and Jimmy. I think that'd be ideal because I still think like Moses has kind of taken that role and Moses has taken a leap, but the last few games have been disappointing and he's still a young player and the inconsistencies are going to be there. As I think Wiggins at this point of his career is a veteran now, kind of knows who he is. You feel like you're pretty comfortable with what you're going to get from Wiggins, particularly on the defensive end every night. And, that's just at a level that Moody's not at yet. And I'm not sure if Moses ever will. But in terms of, the consistent 3-and-D, and Wiggins has got a little bit more shot creation stuff that can bail you out. There's a few times where Moses is trying to put the ball on the floor and get by guys. And I'm so this is ugly. Like, this is not good to watch at all. You just know there's not going to be a bucket out of this. So that'd probably be the ideal scenario, I suppose. And, I'm not going to, I'm not going to put the idea of Andrew Wiggins ever returning to the Warriors to bed. Like, I still think, there's plenty of love between the Warriors and Andrew Wiggins. I think, both still have a good relationship. I think, obviously there was plenty of players dapping up and hugging Wiggs after the game. And Steve was very, very complimentary and said, we miss him and stuff like that before the game. So, I don't know. Can Andrew Wiggins be a Warrior again in the future? Maybe, maybe. Who knows? But it's pretty pointless conversation for now, I suppose. Then next says lead down to 8. Warriors go turnover, miss 3, turnover, miss jumper, turnover. Yeah. They had a slight opportunity there, and it went away pretty quickly. Logan says we can't afford to lose any more games, really, with how bunched up the West is. True. Empire says Kerr should sit JK and Looney, bring in TJD. Weird that Looney played so much. Like, Looney played more than Post, which I'm just not sure should ever happen. I know Post wasn't great. Can we look at the one positive, the one highlight play when he went behind the back with the dump off pass to the cutting Santos in the first quarter? I was like, oh my goodness, that's a Jokic-esque European second round draft pick. I've seen that before. Berserk Mike says it was crazy to see how much space was given to Draymond and Kuminga. Miami was able to be really big, pack the paint. The Warriors' tiny roster couldn't shoot, couldn't make them pay. Yeah, but I mean that's basketball, right? Like that's that's all kind of levels of basketball. Like the Warriors were just never able to get stops, and if you're going to play this small ball, you've got to be able to get the stops and out and run. And that's, as I said, any level of basketball. Like I'm playing Social League Division 2 last night on a Tuesday night, and I know playing like our offense when you get into a half court situation, like our team sucks. We don't have any shooters. We don't have any like really skilled players. And so to me, I try and, play point guard predominantly. And I'm just like getting the ball up the floor as fast as I can to try and get fast break opportunities, throwing the ball ahead or dribbling up myself and, trying to get something before the defense is set. Because once the defense gets set, like they just pack the paint and I'll kick it out to an open shooter and that open shooter probably shoots like 5% from 3. Like we suck. And so, it's the same in all level of basketball. Like your best offense, I think, comes from your defense and getting out in transition. And the Warriors need to be like that. And if their defense isn't good enough and, Miami are going to shoot 68% from 3, then, the Warriors offense is going to get stuck, particularly when there's no Steph and that gravity that he provides. Logan says, what's your prediction for the final 10 games? I'm hoping they go 7-3. That'd be a good result. Let's just check the schedule. They've got some pretty hard games after the next few, don't they? Because they've got like the Lakers and the Nuggets and the Clippers at the end there. And we know the Warriors don't really like the Clippers. So we go Pels. Pels should be a win, right? I mean, so should have these last 2 games, possibly. But anyway, Pels, Spurs should be a win. That's 2. Grizzlies, you know what? I think that should be a win. Like, I don't think they're playing that well at the moment. 3, that's 3. The Lakers, I don't know, probably a loss. The Nuggets game's at home, isn't it? Yeah, maybe a win. Probably 1 and 2 in that Lakers Nuggets would be good. Rockets at home should be a win, but who knows? Suns should be a win, but again, who knows? And then close with Spurs, Trailblazers. I think 7-3 is you're probably about right on the mark there. Though, like, there's some games there that they could easily lose and they could easily win. That's just how tight the league is at the moment, particularly the West. Like these games against the Grizzlies, the Lakers, the Nuggets, and the Rockets, those 4 games in a row, they could go 4-0 and be surprised. They could go 0-4 and I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. And even the Suns, include the Suns in that those 5 games right there, like that'll be the difference makers. Like depending on how, I think that 5-game stretch is probably going to determine where the Warriors end up. Berserkmark says Wiggs definitely owned Moody tonight. He did, aside from those couple of like backcourt violations in the first quarter where Moody kind of pressured him into those. HR says Kuminga was the best player and Kerr is a backside. Yeah, look, JK was okay. He was okay. I probably would have liked him to play more because like he's a naturally, as Reggie Miller seems to go on about every time he watches Jonathan Kuminga play. Like he's such a raw, talented scorer, and in a game where you don't have Steph, you probably just need that really, particularly when you could see early that no one had it going. Berserk Monk says the downside right now with Post is he can get defended by wings. Teams don't have to necessarily put centers on him, and you can't take small players down into the post and punish them. Good point. Try to do that once, and you like committed an offensive foul. Berserk Max also says, like Porzingis, if you defend him with a small player, he posts him up and shoots over them. I mean, he's a rookie. Like, you can't have everything. So, yeah, disappointing. Defensively, it's a struggle. Got cooked by Bam a few times in the first quarter. Yeah. Hacker says Knox should have got minutes and TJD, not like they would have played any worse. It was really stagnant out there. Even with Curry, they can't play like this. Well, the whole point is when you play with Steph and his movement in general and his gravity, like it's usually not stagnant, ideally. But we'll wait and see. Empire says Kuminga wasn't the best player; he just scored the most. Yeah, I don't think he was. I think Gee was probably the only individual positive. Thought he played well. Aside from that, not much. Steve says small ball. Anyone thinks this can win? Steve Kerr should have been fired. He's a player killer. Mm. I don't know. I'm okay with them. I'm okay with them starting like Pajemski, Steph, obviously when he comes back, Moody, Butler, Draymond. I think that's like their best five, and then Kuminga. And I still think Post has to play like heavily. I still think he needs to play 20. I just wouldn't have the Looney minutes at all. I'd still have Post playing like 20 to 25 minutes, and then just you got to be asking Draymond. I know it's small ball, I get it, but it's also just like at some point you got to have your best players on the floor at the same time. Like, Jethro says your high IQ players are not scorers. Involve JK more, design more plays for him because he's a scorer with limited playing time. Virtually no plays designed for him. He still scores. Yeah, it's an argument. It's like you can't disagree with that after you've just watched a game where the Warriors put up 86 points. Like they could have done anything else, and you can understand why fans would be clamoring for different things. Like, yeah, it's 86 points. You shoot less than 40% from the floor, 23.7% from three. So, like when you guys say, "Oh, Knox should have played," well, I can't disagree with that. When you just watch what happened, when you say, "Oh, TJD should have played," well, I can't disagree with that based on what I just saw. When you say, "Oh, Kuminga should be having more plays run for him," you can't disagree with that based on the fact they put up 86 points. Jethro says you win games by scoring more points. It's not all about plus and minuses. Interesting balance. Hacker says, I understand, but what if Curry goes down again and for longer? What will they do then? We're trying to fix the non-Curry equation. Well, if Steph goes out and he's out for longer, then you're just screwed. Like, because if he's out for longer, then he's probably missing the playoffs. And like this team, obviously, like any team without their superstar player is going to be in trouble, right? And so at this point, like you can't really plan for. You can plan for the non-Steph minutes when he's on the bench, but it's pretty hard to plan for him to miss like an extended period of time. And yeah, it's hard for me to be like jump to conclusions that this team's all of a sudden turn to crap again or anything like that without Steph. Like we'll just see what happens when he comes back. Berserk Monk says the bottom line is if Curry goes out, the team is done. Yeah. Says this is a glimpse into the future of life without Steph. Still a whiles away from happening. Hacker says, well, that's fact, but we shouldn't die like a sick dog. I don't know. Like the Warriors, just they're going to be terrible without Steph. There's not much else you can do about it. Like, Empire says, what can JK do besides score? I think that's the problem for Steve and the Warriors right now. Is like they're asking him to do all the other stuff, rebounding, set some screens, maybe. Actually, when he's driving, look to dish the ball rather than just fully focused on scoring. HR says, "Did you watch the W's before Steph?" No, I didn't. So I don't have a don't have a perspective on that. But I know for me, I'll probably be watching. How old am I? 28. Steph will probably retire when I'm 30, 31. Unfortunately, as disappointing as it sounds, I'm probably going to be watching this team for 50, 60 years without Steph Curry. So got a long time post Steph to do it, but no, I didn't beforehand. Berserk says JK's best utilized as a PNR player. Look back at that December 5th game against the Rockets without Drain Steph. He played great even with Loon and GP2 and pods in the lineup. Bad spacing on paper. Do you know what? Like, I don't mind him as a P&R ball. Like, I really enjoy the inverted pick and rolls with him and Steph. I reckon that's like one of the most devastating plays for opposing teams, and yet it doesn't feel like Steve goes to it much. Where like Kuminga's the ball handler, Steph comes up, sets a screen. Obviously, two usually go with Steph because obviously it's Steph, and then Kuminga's just got a lane down to the rim. And we see it with Draymond sometimes as well, with Draymond and Steph inverted pick and rolls. B24 says, Empire, I don't really think you watched the game. JK, the reason Santos got wide open threes. I mean, he says, all-time Warrior team, center Wilt, PF, Chris Webber. I don't think Chris Webber did enough on. I mean, what are you saying? Like, best ever players to play for the Warriors, or I'm not sure Chris Webber did enough on the Warriors to warrant that. Rick Barry, Steph, and Clay. KD doesn't get a gig. Jethro says JK can score inside, which opens up the three. I mean, we could have the Kuminga conversation all day long. And this is the thing with him, is that he divides opinion more than any other player on this team. Like, he just does. Like, there's no other player in this team that divides opinion like Jonathan Kuminga. You have half the fan base think this guy's a future star and that we should be running more plays for him and doing, catering to him more offensively and stuff like that. And then you'll have the other half who think, nah, this is just terrible. Get him off the team. We don't want him. There's no way I'm paying this guy any more than like $15 million a year, let alone double that. So, like, he just divides opinion. And I'm like somewhere in the middle where it's like, I still have high hopes for him, but at the same time, it's like, does he really fit this team? I don't know. The tough thing for me with Kuminga is I said at the start I want to give it a couple of weeks. Like, I want to give it 10 to 12 games, and we still haven't hit that mark. So I don't want to go over the top with my reaction, because I did say that I want to give him some time here. But at the same time, the Warriors also can't afford to give him too much time because they need to win games. So the biggest problem, this is... Sorry, just catching up with comments. Berserk Mike says JK's limited on playmaking, though. It's a difference between him and Butler. Like, JK's probably almost more of a interior force than Butler is, but he just won't make the kick-out passes for open threes like Butler will, or like the little drop-off passes or something like that. Like, he's just like focused on scoring, and if you could find a little bit of that playmaking element to him, then he'd be a much better player. Hey, Josh says, who do you think the best surfer on the Warriors is? I have no idea. Not a surfer myself. Grew up around the beach, love to go in the water, love swimming, stuff like that. Never surfed. B24 says, the biggest problem is Kerr doesn't empower Kuminga. He has him sitting in the corner watching other players instead of being involved in the offense. Agree with that. So that Mike says, no hate to him. I want him to succeed. I just don't think Kerr can truly utilize his talents. B24 says, as much as I want Kuminga to stay, I think it's best for him to get away from Kerr. You've said this on March 25, 2025. That's probably a comment that you could have also made on March 25, 2023. Like, it's just, that's the kind of comment that we've had here from fans for years, it feels like. Anyway, I'm going to finish it up. We've been going for nearly 29 minutes. Very, very negative performance, obviously. Things, again, kind of come into the Kuminga equation, which is, again, there's no one that divides opinion like he does on this Warrior roster. So, yeah, not the worst game from him, but at the end of the day, it's like a 26-point loss. So you can't really take any positives from this from a Warrior standpoint. Now, Friday's game against the Pelicans, I'm actually going to be away from home, so I won't be able to do a post-game live. I might do another podcast episode before that game, particularly if there's any kind of Western Conference standings updates, a bit more of a look over the last 10 games of the season. So I might get into that possibly on Thursday, but I won't be able to do a post-game live after Friday's game against the Pelicans, unfortunately, which is Saturday, my time. Thank you very much to all of you that have tuned in and commented. Thanks to those of you that are watching on the replay or listening via your podcast feed. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that'd be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POK252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter. You will be able to continue following my coverage over on bluemanhoop.com. I'll be watching Friday's game and writing about it for sure. I just won't be able to do a post-game live. Until the next podcast episode, thanks again, guys.